have to ask about the sequence in which, you know, the veil is pierced and musical history comes to life. That's a very bold swing in any movie, particularly in a movie that's first and foremost an entertainment. The tone shifts in a really fascinating but very controlled way. How did you approach that? How did you conceive of that? And why did anybody let you do that?
I'll answer the question backwards. So like, it was, you know, we were making a movie at Warner Brothers, and Pam and Mike. I've known Pam for a long time. Known Mike for a good chunk of time. But DeLuca is the type of guy who watches the first cut of the movie and says, "Hey yo, can you make the eyes glow more like Angel Heart?" You know what I mean? That was the first thing he said to me after watching the first cut. So I think they were encouraging bravery. You know what I mean? They were interested in doing things that felt against the grain in a big way. But the concept came from literally, bro. Like I grew up loving my Uncle James. I would go to his house and just sit and just watch him. I used to like looking at how old his hands were. I shit you not. Like he would sit down and be listening to blues music, and I would sit right here and just kind of look at it at like all the veins and shit in his hands and all the wrinkles. You know what I mean? While he would drink Old Taylor whiskey. Love this man to death. Had no opinion on blues music. It did not feel like it was for me at that time, you know. And it was on at his house constantly. But when he died, you know, I missed him so much. I'll find myself playing those old records again, you know, just to remind myself of him. And I would literally like close my eyes, you know, and listen to these records, and I would feel like he was right there with me. You know what I mean? So that activity was kind of constantly on my mind. And by the time I got halfway through the script, I had outlined it and researched it and everything. And I was up in Northern California in a hotel on my own. And I realized I had fallen in love with all these characters. You know what I mean? I didn't want to kill them, you know, even though that was what the movie was. And I was like, shit, man, like, wouldn't it be cool if I could give them like a victory moment, like at the midpoint, if it's going to be a tragedy, you know what I mean? And what better victory would it be to kind of let them dance with, you know, their grandchildren and their ancestors, even though they don't know that's what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like wouldn't that be cool to see it cinematically? So that was where the idea came from.
Fantastic work.